our today's session. Uh, so, uh, give me can anyone confirm if my voice is audible and my screen is visible properly before we start our session? Yes.
Yes, we can
Okay.
see your screen on your audio.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so the main agenda for this session is, as this is the demo session for incident response. So basically the main agenda for this session will be to understand what actually is incident response, what actually are incidents, and what actually will be our day-to-day activities which we'll be having during the incident response process. Along with that, we will be understanding like what actually are the things which will be going forward and learning during our sessions, and how we are going to learn all of those specific things during our sessions as well. Before jumping into the demo session, before understanding all these particular topics, let us have a quick introduction. My name is Keval. I will be your trainer for incident response training. When I started it as a red team member, where I have handled the projects on VAPT and application PT. In application PT, I had handled the projects on web application, mobile applications, I think client and API applications penetration testing. Later on, I have moved to blue team, where I have handled the projects on SOC with the use of Splunk, also malware analysis, incident response, and threat hunting. When it comes to credentials, I am CISM, CISA, Solid Auditor, Solid Implementer, CHFI, and CEH. Now, let us go forward and understand, before jumping into what actually is the incident response, let us understand what actually is incident. My name is Keval Shet. You can also see my name over, I believe, in the meet itself. Yeah. So basically, the same name itself. You can read my name over this one, right? I believe in Google Meet.
Yeah. It's only showing Keval Seth, right? SAGETH.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So basically, let us understand what actually is incident. Then we'll be understanding what actually is incident response, and then we'll be going forward with our phases and what we will be having as a part of incident response projects as well. Now, when it comes to any particular incident which has, or basically which can lead to any loss or any specific type of disturbance in the business, okay, that is what we can call it as an incident. Whenever there is any particular type of incident which has been detected within our organization, incident response team will be going there, and as an incident response team, we will be responsible for identifying the root cause of that particular incident, okay, mitigate or remove that particular malicious artifacts, and take up back that particular system back to that particular network, so that business can continue. So these are the main three things which we'll be doing whenever any kind of incident has been occurred within our particular infrastructure. How actually incident can be detected, and before getting us any specific type of project, right, what actually will be happening in the backend, okay, from which incident can be detected. Normally there will be SOC team who will be using their SIEM tools, right, to identify. They will be having their own use cases to check that whether there is any particular type of malicious things which are going on within their infrastructure or not. Okay, in case if there is L1 or L2 analyst, they are finding that okay, there is some specific type of red flags which are coming up. Definitely, if they are confirming it, they will escalate that issue to incident response team, and normally we will be the one who will be going forward and analyze what actually are the things which happened previously before that particular incident and how we can mitigate the same thing. Second way is normally threat hunters. Whenever there is any kind of threat hunting team, if they are finding some specific within their threat analysis of the infrastructure, if they are finding any particular type of diversion in the normal process, they will be able to intimate us that okay, this is the things which they have found, and then we will be coming into picture. Right, so there are various ways from which basically incident will be recognized, and once they are confirming that yeah, basically there is some specific type of attack or security which has been occurred, normally we will be able to, or we will be coming into picture, and we will be going forward and we will be validating what actually was the incident. Now, what actually will be our phases of incident response team or our day-to-day activities? We'll be having 5 phases within each of our project. The first one will be detection, analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery. When it comes to detection, normally there will be the specific use cases which will be set up in our security devices. Either that will be SIEM, IDS, IPS, EDR, XDR, right? All of those specific devices, we will be having our own particular rules, and they will be the one who will be giving us with the alerts. And based on that, we'll be confirming whether they are false positives or not. If they are correct alerts, definitely will be going forward and will be starting to analyze the same thing. Within our analysis phase, normally we will be checking up what actually has been occurred during where we will be conducting the network-based analysis, right? Within the network traffic, whether there is any kind of things which has been malicious or not. We'll be checking within the memory or the specific ROM memory or basically the RAM memory. Will be taking up those specific terms, will be validating whether there is any specific type of persistence mechanism or any kind of lateral movement or anything which has been done or not. And later point of time, we will be, once we have confirmed the root cause of that particular incident, we'll be going forward and we'll be containing, eradicating, and recovering from that particular issue. So basically, containment is nothing but the specific isolation, right? Where we will, whatever is that particular machine which has been compromised, we will be stopping that particular attack to prevent further, or basically to go forward and to exploit other particular devices within the same network. Eradication, we will be going forward and we will be removing that particular malicious artifacts, whether it is malicious or basically whether there is any kind of malicious data within the registries or scheduled tasks or basically any kind of processes. We'll be removing all those specific things and basically we will be recovering that machine, putting back into the network where the business can continue. So these are the 5 phases which we'll be having in any of the incident which has been occurred, and we need to work on that particular thing. Now, basically, the same thing we will be going forward and we will be learning during our sessions as well. So what actually we will be having, we will be starting up with the basics. I believe there was some screen sharing issue with the Google Meet. Let me just quickly reshare it. So what actually we'll be learning the same particular steps within our sessions as well. We'll be starting up with the basics. We'll be going forward and we will be understanding what actually is the incident, right? What actually is the incident response? What are the phases? What actually are the specific the processes within our operating system? What are the specific baseline of the operating system processes? What are the scheduled tasks? How actually we can validate those specific scheduled tasks? So basically we'll be covering up all those specific basics within our first few modules, right? Once we are going forward with that one, we will be starting up with our first particular phase, which will be detection and analysis. So there we'll be going forward and we'll be understanding how to go forward and create our lab environment where we can execute these particular things, all of those specific malicious processes, and we'll be going forward with our detection on them. We'll be going forward and we'll be understanding various type of attacks which will be available, how we will be able to go forward and manually validate what actually was the root cause of that particular issue, right, or that particular
Your screen is not
incident.
Your screen is not visible.
It is not visible? It is not visible? Can anyone confirm if it is not visible for everyone?
It is visible.
It is visible, right? Okay, maybe you can rejoin once. I believe there might be some network issue from your end. Okay, but just to confirm, let me just reshare in case if you are able to see it. We can remediate incident manually. Yeah, so basically it is manual process itself. Okay, so basically here there is no we will not be using any particular type of automated tool for that particular thing. Normally we will be going forward and will be removing those specific things manually itself. For example, if your system has been compromised with one of the malware where the persistent mechanism has been done, okay, with some specific type of infection in the registries, we'll be manually removing that particular registries. So that is how we will be going forward and will be doing that. Yeah, so similar to that one, so we will be going forward with our first phase, which will be taking up those specific lab environment, configuring our lab environment. We'll be having multiple machines in our lab environment. Our lab environment will be looking something like this, where we will be having our Linux-based, Ubuntu-based lab environment. We will be having Windows-based lab environment, right, and all of our incident response tools, right, will be pre-installed there, and basically we will be going forward and we will be able to analyze those specific incidents there. Once we are having that particular phases, we'll be going forward with our next phases. So within our analysis, we'll be going forward with all of those specific attacks which are performed, something like WMI attacks, right, session hijacking, binary padding, anti-forensics, right, all of those specific things, infection in auto runs or scheduled tasks, cron jobs, DLL hijacking, WMI attacks, all those specific things will be available. And based on that, like even though the lateral movement and all of those specific things, and after that, once we are understanding how actually we will be able to go forward and analyze and get the root cause of that particular incident, we'll be going forward and we'll be understanding how to contain that particular machine, how we will be able to securely isolate that machine so that that incident cannot be going forward and take up that particular infection in other particular machines, and then we'll be able to go forward and identify how we will be able to mitigate and recover from from that particular incident from that system, and we can put back the system within the network as well. Okay, so same thing within the step-by-step manner, how actually we'll be focusing on during our projects, the same thing will be going forward and we'll be understanding during our sessions as well. At last, we'll be understanding how to prepare our reports and how we will be able to share that particular reports to our clients or basically to our senior management, where we'll be able to go forward and get the details. So this is what we'll be learning on an overall basis. Any doubts, any queries till now? I have received for the lab setup. Can we use Office laptop or VMware is required? Actually, I would not recommend Office laptop, because here during our sessions we'll be going through multiple of those specific artifacts which are actually the real-time malwares, real-time incidents, right? So in case if your Office laptop is there, many times what my previous batches, the students from previous batches, which they are facing is this kind of artifacts are by default removed, right? Or basically these virtualized softwares are not enabled by default. So at that point of time, they are facing lots of issues during the practicals. Okay, what I suggest is you can have practice all this within your internal system, and then you will be able to within your own system, and then you will be able to practice on the same. Yeah, yes.
Are we going to execute the malware in a sandbox or the VMware and check the appearance or the malware behavior and
Correct.
the collection of malware binaries?
Correct. So whatever are the incidents which are available, let's assume we are understanding the specific incident which regards to the specific, for example, here, if we are going forward and if we are understanding how actually this WMI attack is going forward and getting executed, or we are understanding how this particular PS is execute and the Cobalt beacon are happening. So at that point of time, there are specific type of malwares which will be available, right? So we'll be executing, we'll be understanding how actually the root cause of that particular things, where actually they have gone forward and infected which places, and how we'll be able to remove that. So those things we'll be doing, and it will all those specific things will be in our isolated environment within our hypervisor or our virtual machines itself. Okay. Should I have knowledge about Splunk or any SIEM tool to learn this course? Actually, yeah, you should be having. But in case if you are not having, normally whenever that SIEM part is coming up, we will be understanding those specific things from the basics itself. Okay, we will not be going through in depth within our SIEM, because again, SIEM tools will take their own course, right? So normally, whatever are the things which are required as a part of incident response team to validate in SIEM tools, we'll be learning that. Okay, we'll be starting up with the basics, so you will not face any kind of obstacles in going through and completing those specific tests as well.
Keval, I have one question.
Hello. Yes.
Hello, Keval. Prior to that,
Yes, please.
for incident, prior to that incident response, is there any prerequisite that we should be know about the web application security part as well?
Not actually. When it comes to our attacks, right? So basically, there is no specific incident which will be coming from the web applications only. Okay, there will be insider attacks, there will be the external attacks on the public facing applications. So yeah, in case if you are having those specific type of knowledge, definitely it will be an added value. But just for web application security, it is sorry,
I do not have the
sorry, your voice was breaking. Yeah, it will be perfectly fine, even though. Yeah, it will be perfectly fine in case if you are not having the prior knowledge, because anyhow that we will be going forward with our basics. We'll be understanding what actually is the incident or what actually is the attack, and then we'll be going forward and we'll be identifying how to go ahead and analyze that. So not specific thing, or basically any kind of those specific prior knowledge will not be required in case if you're not.
So what would
definitely it is good to go.
What would be the pre-incident response? Will we go for first SOC analyst, then go for the incident response, or is this fine that we are directly jump into the incident response?
The normal step will be the persons who are going through the SOC, right? They will be able to go ahead and grasp more of that particular thing, because they are having. But again, what actually will happen is based on the SIEM tools, the techniques will be different, right? The use cases and all those things will be different from the SOC analyst to SOC analyst. So at that point of time, here anyhow we will be going forward with our basics from the basics itself. So in case if you are directly attending this particular session, it will not be an issue for you to go forward and have that particular things, because we will be learning from the basics till advanced itself. Okay, there is. Yes, Vipul.
Yeah, so for lab setup, like, can we use the VMware?
Yeah, we will be using VMware itself. Yes.
So VMware, does it require any licensing or to set up? I mean, do we need to have license of VMware, or we can use it for the lab purpose at least?
The VMware, yeah, VMware player will be perfectly fine. Okay, so that is the free version. We will be having all those specific functionalities which we require for our incident response, right, in the free version itself. So you do not need to go with the licensing. The free version will be fine for us.
And I will set this VMware in my office laptop, and in that we will have the machines, right? So we can imitate the exercises in that VMware, so it won't interfere with the office laptop things, correct? That way we can.
It will not interfere.
Yes.
Correct, but your office security policies might interfere with our practices. Okay, so whatever we will be learning might not interfere with your office laptop things. But yeah, many times your office security policies might have set up that you cannot set up some kind of hypervisor, or they might have disabled something. So definitely that might be the chance. Again, I'm not sure what actually will be the thing which will be available within your office end, but that might be the chance where your office security policies might not allow you to execute few of the samples, and that kind of things might not be practicing. Just because we have faced this kind of things in past, so just to give a heads up to you, like in that.
Hello, Shivan.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
Myself, Nishan. Actually, my question is that I have
Yes,
finished my SOC in this course right now. Now, what I'm looking for is for an industry standard, job role. For that, is it better to go for SOC analyst, Splunk CS course or for incident course? Because I want to know the major difference in this. Between these two courses.
Okay, sure. We will understand the difference. Okay, there is one more question, which are you give any project on last day? Not in last day, but after every session, we will be having the assignments. I will be sharing the assignments after every session for you to have the practice on. Okay, so that is what we'll be having after every sessions. Kali Linux is used for incident response. No, Kali Linux will not be used. Kali Linux is an operating system which is having all the offensive tools, not the defensive tools. We'll be learning with the use of a shift machine, which is officially from Sense, which has pre-installed incident response and digital forensics tool set available in that operating system. So we'll be, as a part of Linux variant, we'll be using Shift workstation. Now the question goes, what actually is the difference between SOC analyst and incident response? SOC analyst,
no,
right, will be coming.
To interrupt you. My question was, So my question was actually, I'm looking for a Splunk AS course where in that course itself, they'll include like the real-time incidents that are performing in the industry standards. How does that differ from this proper incident response, of course?
Okay. So yeah, that I got. So when it comes to the incident response with the use of SIEM tool, okay, SIEM tool will be having where basically SIEM tool will be collecting the logs. You will be able to go ahead and have that particular use cases set up within your particular SIEM tool, where you will be able to identify that okay, there is some specific type of incident which has been occurred or not. But what actually the main difference will be that whenever you are doing your incident response with your SIEM tool, you'll be able to go forward and perform the detection and part of analysis. With the SIEM tool, we cannot go forward and do the rest of the things, which is containment, eradication, and recovery. When it comes to this particular course where you will be able to go forward and learn, right, here we will be covering up all those specific processes where we will not only be using a SIEM tool, we'll be using our particular specific tool set for detection, which will be our EDR, XDR, right? We'll be going forward and we'll be analyzing it manually, we'll be containing it, eradicating it, and recovering from that. Okay, so definitely your SIEM tool will be able to help you with your detection, but at that point of time, rest of the phases where you have to do it manually, right? So that is the main difference.
Thank you. Just a second, my question is a small thing. And in the end, in this whole process, we'll be also be learning about Linux shift system and as well as EDR system, huh?
Correct, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Keval, my question is like, may you know the duration of this course? Like, since it is on only weekends, right? Saturday and Sunday. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, may you know the duration of this course? Like, how many hours on Saturday and Sunday? Like, how far it will take? All the weekends and everything.
Correct. So on Saturdays and Sundays, it will be 2 hours per day, 2 hours for Saturday, 2 hours for Sunday, and basically it will be taking 1.5 months. So almost it will be having somewhere around 6 weeks of course we'll be having during our full session. Likewise.
One follow-up question for that. Like on Saturday and Sunday, like what's the time for this one?
Time is 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. In the mornings. It is in IST. But again, I will check with management and confirm on the timings to you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Keval, I have one question.
Yes, Abhishek. Yes,
Keval,
Abhishek.
for example, we have do some privilege escalation and do some lateral movement. So you will be
Correct.
you will demonstrate us how the attacker point of view doing the lateral movement and privilege escalation, or it's a different piece of animal.
Correct. So normally, when it comes to completing that privilege escalation and lateral movement, it comes in the offensive side, which will be available or which can be done by the red team members or the specific attackers, right? What we will be having, we will be understanding that the system which has already infected with the privilege escalation, okay, where the system is already connected with the attacker server via C2C communication it is doing, and that particular system has also those specific persistent mechanisms, right? How actually we can take that particular system, identify what are the infection points within the system, remove that infection points, okay, contain that machine, and basically go forward and put that particular machine back to the business. So that is what will be understanding all the defensive side, where we need to remove that particular malicious artifacts from the system and basically put that back into the network. Likewise,
But we do not do that analysis that how the privilege escalation will be happening, how the lateral movement would be happening by the attacker point of view, right?
yeah, by the attacker point of view, what actually attacker has done, right? So those specific things we will not be able to, or we will not be seeing, right? Our main thing is how actually it has been happened. For example, if it is some specific type of fileless malware, what are the infection points, right? Whether it was from the phishing attack, whether it was from the vulnerability exploitment, right? How actually it has happened and how we can remove it. Those are the main two things which will be going forward and having within our incident response projects as well.
Or also, have you covered the EDR part related to, because EDR is the main role of incident response.
Correct. EDR is available here. You can see EDR is there.
So which EDR you have covered for that?
Here we'll be covering up Versua EDR.
Okay, so you will be provided the overview or detail mechanism of EDR?
Detail one. Yep.
Are you sure you have covered the detail?
Sorry?
Are you sure that you have covered the detail?
So basically we will be covering up the ETR and XDR part with the use of Versua, right? Basically in detail itself. Okay?
Can I know what you have covered over the EDR?
So full things will be covering up how to install, how we'll be able to use it, and how we will be able to identify and check go to the root cause of that particular incidents with the use of particular EDR and XDR itself.
And what is the remediation action? What would be the mitigation steps? Have you covered over that?
That will be our manual part. We will not be able to do with this particular tools, right? So we will be covering up with the manual itself. Okay.
Will you teach this?
Compare the IP? Yeah, we will be. It is already covered up in our course syllabus as well.
Okay.
When compared to the IBM QRadar, the Open EDR is best or not? It is based on our particular organization, right? How actually we are having our infrastructure. So yeah, Open EDR is the one which is good for the specific environment, which is medium-sized or less sized organizations where there are less or medium-sized assets. Right, when it comes to the assets which are very much having in the large capacity, right, there I have seen IBM QRadar is better than OpenEDR. So Yeah, we will. That is the main thing. But again, based on our business, what actually is the organization, it totally depends on which particular thing we are going to use. Yes. Any doubts? Any queries? Any questions?
Yes. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Rishi, you are audible.
Yes. Hi. So there is one question I had. So what we are talking about till now is about hosts, right? Those are infected. But do we also talk about any network devices and analysis and detection on network devices, IDSs, IPSs, and maybe routers or switches?
So we will be taking up those specific logs within our particular systems, right? Our SIEM tool, and we will be checking how actually we are having those specific things. Okay, so those things will be there.
No, I mean, so when you say like if some host is infected or like already compromised and there has been a lateral movement or privilege escalation, so that is host based, but then for the lateral movement and everything there will be network devices coming in between. So will we be looking at the trails of those, I mean through those IDSs, IPSs or any network devices it has been traversed through? So we will be looking at those logs, like how that kind of communication looks like.
Yeah, logs and all, like we will be seeing on those specific logs as well, right? But now taking up that particular memory dump of that network devices and those specific type of things, normally it again depends on what particular type of specific router or switches are being used, right? So at that point of time, the main thing which we'll be conducting is we'll be understanding how actually we'll be able to take up that particular logs within our SIEM tool and how we'll be able to analyze the SIEM thing. Right? So that part will be validating with our SIEM tool itself. Okay.
Okay.
Are you going to cover any demonstration of any demo of the attack or the analysis part now?
In this demo session, right, we'll be covering up once we are having this one, we'll be covering up. Yeah, once we are completing this doubts session, right, we'll be covering up. There is one more doubt query, which is will we learn the Swift machine in detail? Whatever are the tools which are available, which are helpful for us during our particular incident response, we'll be going forward and we'll be learning those specific things.
Do we need any prior, programming language experience, or is that fine if I'm FHP?
No, actually, programming language will not be we will not be like it is not required if in case if you for any particular prior experience in the programming language, because the tools which we are going to use, right, the tools and scripts are already available. So at that point of time, normally those specific things are not required for conducting this particular sessions.
Hey, Keval.
Yes, I.
So for the VMware part and like setup and lab setup, right? Do you provide any document for that? Like, will you take a session on that, like how to set up and everything?
Yeah, we will be. So every session will be having similar to this, like how we are having this particular type of slides, right? Every session will be having those specific slides, PDFs, resources, all those specific things will be there. And our second session, right, will be how to go forward and create our lab environment. What all are the scripts which we'll be using for installation of our tools? All those specific things will be there during our sessions itself.
Thank you so much, Keval. Got it.
Just one more thing.
Yes,
so like, could you please tell what kind of, I mean, from the lab perspective, we want to do practice on home lab. So like approximately how many VMs or like what tools will be required, and will those be provided by you, or like we will need to get them from somewhere whenever required? So because with the existing capabilities, just need to know whether we'll be able to simulate that environment with the kind of requirement we have.
Correct. Correct. So for our part, we'll be using two systems. One will be the Swift workstation, right? Basically, we will be going forward, and this will be the Linux-based machine where all the Linux-based tool will be executed. We will also be using one Windows-based operating system where we'll be using multiple scripts. So basically, this will be the two particular operating systems which we'll be using. Normally, the things or the specific resources from our system which will be required is somewhere around at least 8 GB of RAM, okay, so that we can execute our virtual machines, and 500 GB of hard disk, right? So these are the minimum requirements which we will be having as a part of our lab environment setup.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so there is one more query. I'm pursuing finally, please give me a project here. So project wise, actually up here we will be doing the training on those specific processes. Okay, project, I'm not sure, this might be handled by management. They will be able to give you the correct answer. But here during our sessions, we'll be understanding the topics, the processes, okay, and how we can execute those specific things, and we will be also providing you with the assignments when you can practice. I believe you might be asking for a project as in the freelance project, okay, so that I believe you need to contact management and they will be able to provide you the correct scenario. Will you give us real-time use cases? Yeah, definitely we'll be having real-time use cases itself. Okay, so yeah, I believe let us go forward and let us understand or have the quick demonstration so that you guys will be able to understand how actually the environment will be during our sessions as well. Okay, so the first...
A quick general question. So the timings you told, will those be most likely fixed, or like is there any chances that it might change or something?
So timings will be fixed, but yeah, we will confirm you, management will confirm you prior to joining the session. So timings will be fixed. It will be on the weekends in the mornings itself. Okay, so basically that is what will be happening, and but the exact timings will be shared to you by the management.
I mean, that wouldn't vary by too much, right? I mean, maybe half an hour here and there, but not entirely like in the evening or something, right?
No, not entirely. It will be the same itself in the weekends, mornings itself.
Mornings, okay, thank you.
Yep. So let us go ahead and yeah.
We will be getting the recordings as well, right?
You will be getting.
Okay.
So let us understand let us have a demonstration. Why actually we are keeping the demonstration, you'll be able to understand what actually will be how actually will be the environment during our real-time sessions as well, and based on that you will be able to understand the specific topics and how actually we'll be having those specific topics during our session. There is one scenario, right, where we have gotten, or basically the SOC team has gotten one particular alert that that machine is constantly sending some specific files or making connections with one of the external network. Okay, and they want us to basically they have validated and basically they have found that okay, that particular machine is having some specific type of infection, but they are not sure what actually is happened in that particular machine where that machine has been infected. Now as a part of incident response team, what we had done is we had collected the memory dump, but now we are not knowing what actually is the things, okay, out of all that particular processes and all those things which are running in that system, what actually is malicious, and what we need to do is we need to find that particular thing within that machine, right? Now, how actually we can take up the memory dump, how we will be able to go forward and utilize or take that machine's memory dump, right? That is what we'll be learning during the sessions itself. For now, we can understand that basically we are having memory dump. Memory dump is nothing but collection, or basically taking that particular things which are currently running in our RAM memory, okay, and exporting it into one particular file which looks something like this. Okay, and that particular file, we will be able to analyze it, and we can identify what actually are the things which were running in that system. We will be able to identify what are the processes which are running, what are the processes which are having those specific connections, whether what processes are being, what are the path of that particular processes, what are the process IDs, process trees, whether any kind of processes or services are making external connections or not. All those specific things will be able to identify here. So now when it comes to analyzing this particular type of dumps, what actually we'll be doing is we'll be using one of the tool which is called volatility. What actually is volatility? Volatility is one of the best tool which is being used by digital forensics and incident response team. It will be giving us all those specific details, whether any particular thing is or whatever are the things which we want to go forward and see within the memory dump, right? All the list of processes and all those things, will be able to utilize this tool and get that particular details. This is one of a plugin based tool, so which are all plugin we will be able to utilize, or we want to get the information, we can use that particular plugin and we can get that particular information as well. So basically now whatever is the environment which we are going to set up during our sessions, at that point of time all these particular tools will be pre-installed. So after that you don't need to require any particular type of things where you require to install more and more tools and those kind of things. All these tools will be pre-installed during our first sessions itself, first few sessions itself. What we are going to do is we'll be going forward and we will be opening our particular tool. Now again, our volatility tool will be a command line based tool. So at that point of time, normally what will happen is we need to go forward and utilize our command line or basically our CMD itself to go forward and get that particular details. What we'll be doing is we'll be going forward and we will be taking up that particular volatility.exe. Okay, and basically now this is one of the memory dump, right, which we had seen. So basically this particular memory dump is available. Currently we are not knowing what actually is the operating system, what are the list of processes, or what actually are the things which are actually happening in the backend within this particular system itself. So what we will be doing is we'll be going forward, and for the first thing, our first step will be to identify what actually is the process which is running. If you are just doing quick volatility-h, normally you will be able to get all those specific details within the use cases of that particular volatility tool. Okay, so at that point of time you can utilize this particular arguments within the volatility, how you will be able to take the file name and how you will be able to set up that particular profile, and what all are the plugins which you will be able to see. For example, detection of API hooks, right, for checking what all are the TCP connections which are available, checking what are the command line history which is available within that particular things, checking for DLL hijaction and those specific type of things, dumping the file out of the memory dump, all those specific things will be available. Now what actually will be our first step? Normally we will be going forward, and the first thing which we'll be taking up is to identify what actually is that particular operating system which is running behind that particular memory dump. Why we are requiring that? Because as a part of processes, the process trees and how actually that particular thing is set up, normally it will be different from operating system to operating system. If I'm taking Windows 7, Windows 10, okay, in the backend those specific things will be different. So now if we are not knowing that particular thing, it will be again very much difficult for our tool to identify. It will take much more time than usual to get the details. So what we are going to do, we'll be taking up volatility, we'll be taking up -f. As you can see, -f is for taking up or giving the file name, okay, which we want to take or which we want to analyze that particular image. We'll be entering -f, we'll be going forward and we'll be giving that memory dump file which we have taken up from our client's machine or internal machine, which we have found that okay, there is some kind of incident which has been occurred, and we'll be giving the plugin which is image info. Now image info is nothing but giving the details of that particular operating system which is running behind. Okay, so basically it will be identifying what actually is the image which is running at that point of time. Once we are going forward and we are giving that volatility, again it might take few seconds to give us those specific details, but after that it will be giving us the list of possibilities that which are available, right? What all are the things, what actually are the possible operating system which will be running in backend for that particular thing. Now here we'll be able to see what actually are the suggested profiles. Normally here you can see Windows XP SP special version 2, x86 and Windows XP SP special version 3, and the specific details will be given to us, and the things which we want to execute or which might be more possible or more having the more possibility will be given to us, which will be available here. Once we are having our first step where we have identified that, okay, this is the operating system which is running behind that particular thing, normally we will be giving out that particular details with hyphen profile. Okay, so that basically volatility does not have to first of all identify what actually was the operating system which was running behind, and it will not take more time in our later on all those specific processes. We'll be taking up hyphen profile, we'll be copy pasting that particular details, the specific specific operating system which was running, the specific version of it, and then we will be going forward and we will be first of all identifying what actually is the process or the list of processes which were running within that operating system. So basically we'll be entering PS, which is process, and process tree. PS tree will be our process tree, and normally process tree will be giving us those specific things, the list of a process, right, which are running as a part of tree structure. What actually is the main or parent process, what are the list of child processes likewise. Once we are executing that particular thing, it will identify, and based on that we'll be able to get those details. Now how actually we'll be able to see what actually is the parent process and child process? Normally the ones here will be able to identify with the use of dots. So here you can see there is no dot, that is the main parent process. 1 dot will be the child process of the main, 2 dot will be the child process of this one. In case if this might be the complex thing for you, you will be able to go forward and see with the use of PID or main parent process ID, okay, and the process ID as well. So basically this one is 4. The one which is having 4 in the PPID or parent process ID will be the child process of the main process ID, something like that. Let's assume if I want to check something like this one, what is the parent process ID of this one? 368. You can see 368 is available here. So this is the child process, or basically this csrss.exe is the child process of smss.exe. Likewise. Now again, what actually is the processes, right? All those specific things we will be able to learn in our main sessions, but overall what can be the thing? Now when it comes to the operating systems, they will be having the baseline that this should be the parent process, this should be the child process, this should be executed or this should be available within the system one time only. Okay, something like SMSS will be the main process. And basically SMSS will be having the process child process as WinLogon and basically csrss.exe. These are the 2 main child process. Now anything other than this particular processes, if it is shown up as a child process of this particular process, again that is not the thing which our operating system will be doing manually or doing on a regular basis. Definitely there will be some specific type of red flags there. So normally we will be able to identify what actually is the baseline, and based on that how we will be able to identify those specific things. But now the first thing which will be validating is whether attacker is trying to hide anything within our processes or not. So basically we will be entering our next plugin, which is PSX view, which will be giving us a different type of analysis within the process, and will be giving us the details that whether that particular process or any process is hidden anywhere or not. So here you can see the same list of processes are available, and if we go ahead and if we check the main 2 things, which is PS list and PS scan, all of those specific processes, right, these are the different type of checks which has been done by volatility. And normally the main thing which will be validating here is whether any of the processes are whatever are the processes which are trying to act as a hidden process will be available as false. For example, there are few of the processes which are available here, which is this one, which act as false. But normally the main thing which will be validating is whether in the PS list or PS scan anything is hidden here or not. If yes, definitely that particular process is trying to act hidden, and that is what we'll be looking at that point of time. That will be giving us good amount of red flags where we can check more on that particular process. But currently in this particular example, there is no specific process which tries to act as hidden. We'll be looking at our other particular steps as well, that okay, what actually is the process which is trying to go forward and have that particular connection, command line, or having the external connections to specific things as well. So in this scenario, once we are confirming that okay, these are the specific list of processes, okay, we will be going forward and we'll be entering connection scan, okay, to check what all are the processes which are trying to act as, or which are trying to connect outside of that particular of that particular infrastructure. So something like here you can see the IP address, which is this one, is trying to go forward and connect to this particular remote address, and basically the process ID is this one, which is 1484. Now if we go forward and check, okay, within 1484, which is explorer.exe, now here it is not Internet Explorer. The specific name of Internet Explorer in our process tree will be iExplorer. This is our file explorer, which normally is available within our systems, right? So at that point of time, if you see the specific child process of file explorer, it is reader.sl.exe. Again, this particular process is trying to make connection to external network. We might be, or this might be, or might not be the specific process which we will be looking for. We need to go forward and check more of those specific details. Let us go forward and understand what actually is the path of this particular process, where actually this executable file is available. So for that, we will be having multiple plugins which we can use. Basically, we can go forward and we can enter file scan, or basically we can enter basically CMDLINE. So basically we will be able to identify whether that particular processes are available, or whether they are having the access to command line or not, or in the previous session, basically whether it has executed any particular command, and if it has executed, from which particular path it has executed those specific things. We'll execute that, and we'll be focusing on that particular process which is which we are trying to see. So basically the process which is specific to this one, which is 1640, which is reader.sl, and we will be like looking into that. We will be deep diving into the specific things which we'll be looking for, and basically in case if it is not, we'll be going forward and we'll be seeing the other particular things as well. So at that point of time, if we are looking into that, which is reader.sl.exe, here you can see the process ID was 1640, and if we see the command line path, normally here you can see it is under C, program files, Adobe Reader, and reader.sl.exe. Now definitely we might have used this particular type of tools in past. So in case if you are watching some kind of PDF, or if you are reviewing or reading some kind of PDF, this kind of tools should not be making those kind of external connections or have the command line access in our system. So at that point of time, normally we will be able to identify that okay, basically this is the particular file, or this is the process which is 1640 is containing some specific type of things. Again, we are not confirming that okay, this particular process, okay, which is malicious, but there is good amount of red flags which we are having in this particular process. So how actually we can validate that one? What we'll be doing is we'll be going forward and we will be exporting that particular file from the memory dump. We will be exporting this particular process, and then we'll be looking at and we'll be checking that how actually we are having those specific things. Now to export that particular file, normally you can again go back to all the list of plugins, and you'll be able to go forward and get that particular result, right? From that you'll be able to see, you'll be able to go forward and have those specific details. You'll be able to get those details. Even you can use the malfind plugin as well. Now again, all those particular things will be going forward and will be taking up within our multiple use cases as well, multiple incident as well. Okay, but for now we'll be using this particular thing to export that file, which is proc dump. So basically we'll be using procdump, our command or our particular plugin, which is procdump, we can go ahead and we can take up that particular the process, which will be the specific process 1640, and we'll be going forward and we will be exporting that particular file which will be available, and after that we'll be able to validate the same thing. We'll be able to check whether that particular file is actually malicious. Now this was one particular part of it. Right now, again, after analysis, how we'll be able to contain that particular machine, how we'll be able to remove this particular type of things, right? All of those specific things will be going forward and we'll be seeing in our main sessions as well. Just as we are out of time, let me just give you the brief or let us have the specific one more scenario, okay? And basically after that, we'll be able to conclude our session as well. Now the second thing is there are series of attacks which has been occurred within one particular machine, and now what we are required to is to conduct the timeline analysis and identify what actually is the sequence of the attack which has been performed, what actually is the sequence of those specific things which has been done within the machine. So to conduct the timeline analysis, what actually is timeline analysis within the machine, what actually are the steps which you are performing. For example, first I have opened this particular tool, right, or any particular other process. I have executed any process, okay, and within that machine there was the specific anything which has been done, right? All those specific things within the time format, right? That okay, this is the first thing which has been happened in this time and this second. Likewise, in sequential order, we'll be able to identify that. So to do that, normally we'll be having our particular tool called AutoLine Timeline. Now again, we can do the same thing within our volatility as well, and we can identify those specific details. But Auto Timeliner will give us those specific more details into the specific result and more of our particular data as well. So how actually we can do that? Again, we'll be able to identify those specific things, how to download and how to utilize those specific things within our system during the sessions itself. What we'll be using is we'll be utilizing that particular script. So here you can see autotimeline.py. Now again, this is a Python file. What we'll be doing is we'll be going forward and we'll be executing autotimeline.py. We'll be going forward and we'll be giving the -f command for the file, and we can give the memory dump which is available. So at that point of time, we'll be giving within the desktop analysis and whatever is the folder where we have kept up that particular memory dump. So basically that is what we'll be doing. So basically here I have taken something like mem dump of that particular name. We'll be giving that. We'll be giving the profile, okay, the profile which we have identified from our volatility tool. We'll be giving those specific profiles, and within that particular machine we'll be able to go forward and identify what actually is the things, or what actually are the sequence of things which has been done within the system as well. So similar to this one, okay, now we will be going forward and we'll be identifying the detection root cause, okay, of that particular attacks, and how we'll be able to identify those specific things, how we'll be able to confirm what actually is the root cause of that particular attack, how we'll be able to remove that attack, right? All those specific things will be able to go forward and learn during the sessions. Now again, 1 hour is not enough for us to go forward and learn all of these topics, or for me to show this particular topic. So that is the main reason why we have seen part of it, and we'll be seeing the whole lot of things during our sessions as well. So till this creates all those specific things, again it might take 2 to 3 more minutes for creating those specific things. So till that, any doubts, any queries, anyone?
So Kevin, are there any GUI based alternatives to this tool, volatility?
Not actually.
Open source?
Yeah, not actually. There is. No. So we will. So many of the tools like will be utilizing during our sessions, right? During our incident response, many tools will not be having GUI-based alternatives. We'll be using this command line version itself.
Okay, so I mean, even those this Sloeth kit or this autopsy and all, they also don't have these tools inbuilt in them.
Which one?
Sloeth kit.
Yeah, autopsy will be learning. Yeah, we will be learning autopsy, we'll be learning FTK imager, those specific things. So here you can see FTK imager is there. We'll be also going through our autopsy, right? So they will be having the GUI based tool, but many tools might not have this kind of command line version. Again, both the functionalities of both of the tools will be different, right? Compared to what actually we are analyzing. So definitely it will be different, right?
The comfort level differs a little from GUI based to the command line based.
Correct,
So
correct.
that's why.
Yeah, that is correct.
I mean,
But once how much practice we'll be having, right, during our sessions in the assignments and the samples which I will be sharing, definitely you will be having good comfort level at the end of every topic. So don't worry about that one because normally again we will be dealing with this complex incident, right? So at that point of time we will be having the specific tools which are only used as a part of command line. So definitely we will not be having many tools which are having GUI alternatives.
okay. Because couple of years ago or a few years ago, it was maybe difficult to find GUI based, but nowadays pretty much everything
Correct.
has an alternative of GUI based. So hence I was asking.
Correct. Correct.
And
Any doubts, any queries?
a small question.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the storage I'm talking. So if we're talking about these memory dumps and all, so usually do we take a full memory dump as in 1-to-1 ratio to the memory, or like it is only how much consumed is gets dumped out?
Yeah, how much is consumed that will be dumped out. Okay, so for example, if I'm having 8 GB of RAM, but currently the processor takes 4 GB of RAM, right? So that much memory dump will be taken out and we'll be able to analyze that much itself. Likewise.
Okay. And like, do we also analyze the page files and all in this here?
Yeah, we'll be doing. Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Hey, Keval, when will be the actual classes starts? Is it on February 4th, coming for Sunday, or when?
Yeah, I believe it will be from next week. But again, we need to check with management will be the perfect person to give you the updates on this one. But I believe from the coming week we'll be starting up our sessions.
Thanks, Keval.
Okay. Let us check. Yeah, again, it is analyzing. Any doubts, any queries, anything? Do you guys have? No. I believe I can show it to you my previous things from which we'll be getting the perfect idea. So once we are having that particular compilation from the auto timeliner, right, at that point of time, once we are having that particular memory dump, once we are giving it out, normally we'll be having this kind of files which will be timeliner.pd and timeliner.csv. Whenever we are going forward and we are opening that particular file, in this scenario we'll be having those specific sequence of what actually has been happened at what point of time. Something like here you can see this is at this November 1922. So at that point of time this particular registry has been affected, right? So likewise all those specific sequence of event within that system will be available, and at that point of time we'll be able to go forward and get the details. All the historical data from the sequence will be extracted out and we'll be able to identify that. This will be much more important for us to go forward, and whenever we'll be preparing the reports and identify what actually was the sequence of actual execution has been done by the attackers. So this is how we'll be able to go forward and get, this is how we'll be able to get our timeline document, and based out of that we'll be able to go forward and get the details on how actually the chain of attack from the attackers has been available. Okay, so yeah, this is how we will be having our particular sessions, right? What we'll be starting up with, the basics of incident response, We'll be configure our lab environment. We'll be understanding all the phases of incident response, starting up from the detection, analysis, containment, right? All of those specific phases, and for each and every phase we'll be going forward and we'll be understanding how we'll be able to get that particular details as well, and at last how we'll be able to prepare the report as well. Okay. Now your next step will be the contact management, and they will be the one who will be guiding you for further procedures to join the session. Once we get the updates, right, we'll be starting up with our session and we'll be learning all the topics within our incident response as well. Okay. Any doubts? Any queries? Yes, Rishi.
Yeah.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Just one more thing. I do see there is a lot of overlap of forensics into IR. So I believe into the SOC room when detection happens and we identify a host which is compromised, I think the most of the part will be done by the forensics rather than IR, I believe. So
correct. So that is the main reason why our team is called Digital Forensics and Incident Response Team. If you see anywhere, right, it will be DFIR team, right? So basically, as a part of incident response, so the thing which we had understood now, right, where we were checking from the memory dump and we were extracting the artifacts and those kind of things, that is again a part of forensics itself. So basically, when it comes to our incident response team, we are also responsible for handling those specific events, and most of the things which will be coming into our bucket, right, will be other forensics processes as well, which will be doing. Okay, so definitely. That is how we'll be having within our processes as well, like within our day-to-day job role as well.
Okay, no, I mean, I wanted to ask from this perspective that if when we are learning this, I mean, I think this course will help us to get maybe up to a L2, right? But that too, how does it differ IR position, L2 level IR position from forensic, an individual forensic expert who works in a SOC room? How does it differ, or like how much does it overlap? And can a normal SOC analyst, I mean a level 1 SOC analyst can have a shot at getting at L2 with this without having forensics knowledge in deep, only the IR?
Only IR, actually it will be difficult, right? Because whenever you will be looking into any particular of our incident response analysis, right? Many things will be coming from the forensics perspective itself, because our main work is to identify the root cause and then mitigate those things, right? So at that point of time, if you are just having that incident response knowledge, definitely it will be much more difficult for you to go forward and have that, right? Because when it like within our job role, it will be integrated itself. So now you might not see anything like just incident response. It will be incident response and digital forensics itself. So it is much more required in our projects itself. Okay, just incident response will not be sufficient for our day-to-day projects as well.
Right.
We'll
So
be
I
majorly relying on this particular
from what I understood, we are like,
steps.
from what I understood, IR part will end somewhere up to an analysis, right? And after that, the forensics start.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Correct. Exactly.
Thank you.
So the equivalent certification with this in market would be, is it just GIAC or something like that, or is it BFIR certification from EC Council?
Yeah, so basically it is SENS 4508 is there. For it, there are one like from the certifications from Elan Security as well. So they are also having this the incident response, right? So these are the two main certificates which will be able to achieve at the end of this particular syllabus.
Okay, so we have to do that parallelly, like give the exams for that, or will that be covered in this?
No, the course modules are covered in this. Like after the session, in case if you want to attend the exam, definitely you can attend the exam. But you should have all those specific the assignments which are already done by us, right? So basically, those specific things will be similar during the exam as well. So basically, parallelly with our sessions, you'll be practicing on that particular thing, and at the end of the sessions, you'll be able to attend the exam. Okay.
Hi Kevin, this is Kalyan. Based on your content, are you focusing on incident response in the sense you would be showing the entire incident life cycle, right, from detection to recovery?
Correct.
By a set of network which contains necessary tools, and that incident response may contain open source tools for triaging, right? For triaging, remediation, and
exactly.
Right. I believe you showed volatility and auto timeline, whatever. Those are forensic. So basically, we might see some type of forensic techniques to gather artifacts and evidences. I believe this is not an full-fledged forensic course, I believe, right?
No, not full-fledged. It will be full-fledged incident response course. Okay, so basically all those specific things will be covered, and as a part of our incident response, we'll be able to go forward and have our particular projects in execution. So that is what it is not a full-fledged forensics course.
Yes, I believe because maybe because of the tools, SOC analyst might get some. Maybe you can say some exposure on how a forensic side of things works for an incident in an organization. Ideally, SOC analyst will not be doing all these things because he is not expert in all domains, right?
Correct. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
One question, because I'm already working as a SOC analyst, so for this, I believe for artifact gathering, to conclude RCA, I believe you were utilizing open source tools to gather directly artifacts and evidences from systems itself, I believe, rather than using security devices.
Correct, exactly.
Security devices.
Correct, yes.
This containment part, so how does it work? So you have incorporated any EDR tool in the maybe these scenarios to actually so the containment phase is once you concluded this is an incident, the next step would be containment, right? So for containment, which options you have explored in this course?
Here we'll be using Wazua, which is the EDR and XDR tool which we'll be using.
Okay. So would you be showing how to interact with a compromised system from the back end? From the, let's say, I'm a SOC analyst. Now this is incident response course, right? Let's say I received a detection on my SIEM console. Now, from my system, I need to investigate the infected host. Right? Would you be covering likewise? Because why I'm asking is, so would you be using any security tool to actually send those response commands, like RTR and CrowdStrike, something like that? So would you be exploring the entire incident life cycle that we have received detection in SIEM? Now you will show us the steps on how you can actually analyze, contain, remediate, and how you what are the would you be going through those steps only from a host point of view, or would you be covering those things like a SOC analyst in a corporate environment?
Didn't got exactly your question. Like, can you elaborate it?
Yeah,
Highlight
yeah,
what
yeah.
actually you are.
Let's say you are investigating a compromised endpoint, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, would you be, I believe, I think for a compromised endpoint, you would be directly going to the forensic side, right? For investigation. Rather, you are investigating the preliminary artifacts from the EDR real-time response instead of
We will be
using
doing,
EDR.
right, once we are confirming it. Yeah, once you are confirming it, right, because when it comes to our security tools, definitely we'll be getting a whole lot of alerts, right? So definitely we
Okay.
cannot go with each and every endpoint and checking the memory dump, analyzing, because this manual process, again, it is taking time, and many times it will be false positive. So we will be going forward and will be confirming how actually the first all artifacts, and then once we are confirming that, okay, that this is the correct alert and the system has been compromised, then we'll be going forward and go to the
Okay.
system physically and then take up that.
Okay.
Likewise,
Okay.
we will not be directly jumping, because in our scenario there might be 100 hosts, 200 hosts, 300 hosts, right? We cannot go with all the hosts which are
Okay.
giving us the
Yeah.
alerts,
Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Thank you, Keval. I'm very much curious about two cases which you have shown in the content. So WMIC based attacks
That
and
is,
DLL.
we will be
Yeah.
done.
So would you be showing us the detection first in any of the security console and later move
Yes,
on to the
yes,
investigation? Okay.
correct, exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, are those WMA attacks, the attack scenarios? So, I think there should be some. I think there should be some wider mapping. Particular techniques which you will show WMI based
Yes,
attacks.
yes. So for WMI attacks, like what all are the specific techniques which are being used by the attacker, right? All of those specific things will be
Oh,
seen.
okay.
All those specific use cases will be seen.
Okay. Okay, Keval. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for the information.
welcome. There is one more query. How EDR detects malware and protect us from where it came from? Can you show us this? And in next session, actually, next session will be our particular training session itself. So during the training session, in the first session, definitely I will not be able to show, but whenever this particular topic comes up, right, the EDR and the detection from EDR, that is where we'll be seeing this particular thing. Okay. Any doubts, any queries before we conclude our today's session? Anyone? No? So yeah, that was it from my end, guys. Now let us join with our next session, right? Our training session, and then we'll be learning our next things. It was great to have you, guys. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, Kevin. It was a very good session. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Thank you, Kevin.
Sure, definitely. Welcome. Bye bye.
Thank you, Cable. And just one more thing. It was a very nice session,
Yeah.
obviously, and we'll be looking forward to join on the course. Just one thing before we drop off, is it possible for you to share the list of requirements of the like tools or something so that maybe we can start gathering already until
That is what we'll be seeing in our first two sessions itself,
okay.
because again, installation of those things might be complex. There might be some of the errors which you might be facing. So if I showcase during the session itself, it will be much more interactive, and in case if you are facing some challenges, definitely you will be able to solve those errors, and I'll be able to help you with that. So that is the main reason why we have kept that within our first two sessions itself.
Right, okay. No, because usually what happens is like setting up those tools and all take up like 4 5 classes, because
No,
everyone
it will
have
not take that much. It will take one session only. Yeah,
okay,
no, it will not take that much long time.
right. That's great. See you there then.
Thanks, Kevin.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.